So I must verbalize this when it comes to the negative and the positive, because I have to substantiate in physics how fertility happens and then how that translates in politics, religion, and science. And so when I realized with probiotics, or with a person who is alive, okay, you are life, maybe you have, COVID-19 in you, and then you receive an aggressive antibiotic, and it could be something from the holistic world, or it could be an antiviral from the allopathic world, and that would translate in the different therapeutics that are being offered all over the medical holistic system. Then that turns into, yes, entropy, but also the birth of new life. And that would be incubation as far as new viral babies in the body. And if a person is understanding that they must assimilate and they release those excess demons, you won't have cancer, disease, or chronic illness, or even behavioral issues. But if a person has a closed system and they have never been taught how to blow their nose or poop or work their own sphincter to release the excess, they will house so many life forms that will multiply and multiply and copulate, and then turn into a problem later on, if not sooner. And so the Illuminati, when you think about it, which, is no big deal, our world is run by magic. What is this magic? It is always the positive and negative forces coming together to develop innovation, advancements of mankind. And this happens in the Bible. This happens in all the different starseed, spirituality type of religions and spirituality associations. And this also has to do with the politics and the scientific dogmas. Okay, because we know that when you have Democrat, Republican come together, guess what you have? A clashing of the two ideologies, and then new ideas get birthed from that. Sometimes you want to call them the independents, but really the independents are no different than the Democrats and Republicans, just another new viral baby that is just emulating mommy and daddy, and maybe taking the best parts of both. And still, it's still another, another religion, another political ideology that is very similar to the parents, but it's not exactly that different. It's still straddling both worlds. So life comes from death at the macro and the micro. Now, with the whole thing with the JJ meta mentality, you don't have to die from these advancements of mankind as far as the viruses. You don't have to die, but you have to go through an evolutionary process, which is, yes, you'll be developing mucus, but you must release that mucus by blowing your nose. Because if you don't blow your nose and everything gets in, then it's going to incubate and take root somewhere. And then one of these days, you're going to have some lump somewhere that you don't even know it's there until it's there. And you feel it. And then you have to go do a targeted approach to it, which, okay, fine. That's how it's going to work for some people. Okay, so then aggressive antibiotics mixed with viral probiotics, that's where all the witches, the lay witches in our society that are used, they're mixing those tinctures, the homeopathic remedies. They're selling them all over Facebook. And so they're actually helping the Illuminati witches, when you think about it, the ones that are leading the politics, religion, and science, and they're making these viruses even more aggressive. The more antibiotics you apply to a probiotic, you will create not only entropy, but also negentropy, and then you'll create a new viral baby, another pandemic for someone else to go and try to upgrade to. But remember how people are, they don't want to feel pain, and they're under their diets and their detoxes and all their supplements and whatever, and so the new evolution will keep chipping away the energy, causing more disbursement, because that's what entropy is. It's the chaos. When things disperse, when there's entropy going on, then you have also the negentropy on the opposite side, which is then a new life form then gets developed from that death. And that's how you have the two sides of the same coin working together. Life and death happen simultaneously. But with the people that don't understand that you have to feel pain and release the mucus, they're now dealing with senescence, which is the shortening of their telomeres. And that's when your telomeres are realizing that it's not going to lengthen because the person is starving themselves, taking more antibiotics, and they're not releasing the demons. They have so many negative viral entities inside, eating them away at the inside. that then it's going to trigger fertility. What is that fertility? It could be a new virus in the body that you're going to project out there and inseminate somebody else, or you will be fertile. You will want to go and procreate with somebody and go get pregnant, or go inseminate someone if you're a male. And so that's how the nation building has happened, was through the witches. First it was the witches way back in days of yore, and then biotech used the witch mentality of using the antibiotics against the probiotics, developing new viral babies. And so when you get a population that's kind of homogenized like it was before 2019, and everyone's like doing their thing, and we're comfortable with the rate of death and the rate of birth, okay, great. Everyone's all complacent and smug in their position. And then someone goes and develops a very aggressive virus by taking a very strong antibiotic against a conglomeration of viruses that, could be bioengineered. It could have been released by some dude in his basement, and then someone got wind that this was going to happen, and then they were warning everybody and getting things set up. I'm just speculating as far as any scenario. And then it gets released into patient zero, who then translates that and projects that to somebody else, and then they go and spin it, and then all the antibiotics that are against the probiotics, which are the people, then makes the virus stronger, which then, yes, it does substantiate how the therapeutics then make the virus stronger. And that's all therapeutics, everything that they are offering to people for free. And they're recommending mandates, whatever. Yes, you take a positive like you, and you take a negative like an antiviral that does the programming. You're going to create explosions. You're going to create little mini big bangs, and it'll be new viral babies, and also the fertility of another wave. But that's just in conjunction with all the holistic people. So it's not like the allopathic is doing anything that different than what you already been doing, holistic people, with your tinctures and your home remedies. And so you can't get mad at Big Pharma and say that they're all poison when you're doing the same thing. There's nothing poison. It's just how much evolution are you willing to deal with? That's what it comes down to. I've been dealing with so much evolution, and I know, John, you've been dealing with it too, and it's pretty aggressive. It's intense. But man, you'll be touched by the hand of God when you think about it. Because when you have that much intelligence that you've been exposed to that's working through your body, you're going to have not only weird dreams, but you're going to be having an awareness about how aggressive the world that you live in is, and you're not cured. And so you realize, and you start making the connections between all the politics, religion, and science, and you understand then all the allegory and the vampires and the witches, and you understand then the whole conspiracy world and the Illuminati. They are high-level witches. Yes, they are. But we have low-level witches that work in conjunction who say they're not part of the Illuminati, but they're wearing their outfits and their crystal balls and their things on their head, and they're selling you the tinctures on Facebook. They're selling you their MLMs on Facebook. They're helping the Illuminati realize the outcome. Because the more aggressive you have antibiotics against something like a probiotic, like the COVID-19, when you think about it, you're going to develop then new little viral babies. And that's where the Omicron, the Delta, the BA1, BA2, BA3, and now we have the monkeypox. And that's going to be going through the population, working its way through, because people are still going to go to their concerts. They're going to go and have sex in these different sex clubs, exchanging bodily fluids. And when you're at a concert and you're all wall-to-wall people packed together so tightly, and you're all sweating and sharing spit, how do you think these things then mutate? And when you go into church and you're doing all your church stuff, whatever, and you're jumping up and down and raising heck and whatever, or you're hanging out with church members in the middle of a pandemic in a huge auditorium with so many different people, what do you think is going to happen to this pandemic? It's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. They're like, oh, well, I'm therapized. I should be protected. Oh, that's great. You're personally protected. Okay, whatever the hell that means. But then you're not keeping your personal protection to yourself. You're sharing it with everybody else who has to go and then upgrade. And that's then one negative to one positive equals another freaking viral baby called a new variation. And that's how the New World Order is using the lay witches against their friends and family. And And you're just like, what the heck? This is very strategic. Yeah. But when you break it down to antibiotic mixed with probiotics, that is a mini big bang. That is fertility. That is conception. And that's why the OAG wanted me to prove that it was probiotic, because they don't want to cause another pandemic. They want me to prove it's probiotic because, yes, you take an antibiotic with a probiotic, and it's all because viruses run another virus, viruses, parasites, protozoa, proteins, fungus, and bacteria. Viruses run all of biodiversity. So if I was developing an antibiotic, there would be no life living in an antibiotic because it's antibiotic, anti-life, right? And so then if jelly juice is probiotic, then it's life. But remember, too much life is cancer. Too much life is a tumor. Too much life can also turn into death when it eats up it consumes all the food in the food supply, and there's nothing left, and then it dies from starvation. But they said that as long as it's probiotic and I'm not making claims, then there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. And they were right. I just had to change my advertising. But it's when you are developing antibiotics like Dr. Sebi, like all the different doctor holistic professionals, or a lay person just mixing, coconut oil and turmeric and honey and ashwagandha and all that stuff, and it's very aggressive antibiotics, and then you're applying it to a body or to topical, then you are developing new viral variants that will contribute to a pandemic and make it stronger. And that is what's going on right now. Not only are the therapies in the allopathic are contributing to this pandemic, but also the holistic lay witches selling their MLMs, their tinctures, their pills, their powders, their supplements, and they're blaming the AMA when they're doing the exact same thing, but not as aggressive. But when you put them all together in a collective form, cumulatively, all the lay witches and all their tinctures are making this pandemic more aggressive. So then you have no leg to stand on, bitching about the allopathic therapeutics when you're doing exactly the same thing they're doing, but at a lesser degree. But you put all you guys together, you're no different than Big Pharma. And so that's why I have been so sensitive against the holistic people, against anyone with a license, because you're doing the same thing. You ain't mentioning the salt and water and the purification annually eventually, and you're not mentioning purging out those little viral demons. No, you're giving your kids elderberry syrup. You're giving your kids all the tinctures. You're giving your kids all the detoxes that are being sold by your little friends in the holistic world who are selling you an MLM because, I don't know why, because you don't want to feel anything. Well, okay. Then your kids are going to be incubating all this shit inside of them and contributing to this pandemic. And then you wonder why they're asking people to wear a mask. You wonder why there's another freaking therapy on top of the other one that we have already, because you guys keep mutating it. And you won't give any new information to your friends and family because you're too fucking afraid. You know why? Because you are still a lay witch. You still want to practice whatever it is that your ancestors did way back when they were developing monsters, way in the beginning, way in the Garden of Eden. Because remember, we have a lot of religious folk on my Facebook who are all about the Garden of Eden and creating monsters, whether in their family or in the community or wherever, and justify it through the scripture. And they're okay with it. They're like, hey, it's whatever. This is God's plan. This is God, whatever. It's, you can't stop what God's supposed to do. They're playing God, but they will never take responsibility for it. And this is why I've been the way I've been, because I see the connections with everything. Even if you don't, I see it, and I'm going to say it. And so then the lay witches of our society and their herbs and tinctures, negative viral immunotherapies, are helping the lead witches of our society by making the pandemic endless and stronger in the variations. And so, yeah, people have told me, I'm still going to take my supplements. I don't care. But you know what that person told me, that they're taking their supplements to support their immune system? Bless her heart. Seriously, bless her heart. She was the one that then got me on that track of the tumors and then the teratomas. And then the back of the throat, because she was saying that she felt something in the back of her throat and that people have persistent coughs. And then, bam, she helped me out. Even though she wasn't really supporting what I'm doing, which is fine. I don't need the support. But she gave me a seed of information that really took me on to the next level. And I'm just like, oh my God, So I have some amazing people that follow me, amazing people that even though they don't agree with me, they're still giving me information. Whether they know it or not, they've got me onto some amazing things here. And so I just hope that you learn from this, because you're not going to get a second chance. Once you go down that road of not wanting to feel anything, and you're justifying it with your politics, your religion, and your science. I don't care if you're born again or if you say, I don't have a religion, I'm just spiritual. Same thing. But, you have a chance now to turn shit around. You have a chance. And so at some point, you're going to have to figure out if life is worth living, or if it's easier to go down the politics, religion, and science and justify it. I don't know. I'm going to go. All right, bye.